Hey everybody, and welcome back to Live Fulfilled. If you are new here, my name is Megan. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you'll be notified when I upload again. So today's video I am filming in my car on my lunch from my job, because sometimes you just need to get stuff done and I need to get this filmed so I can get it edited, so I can get it uploaded. Today I'm going to be doing a story time about when I got stuck and almost arrested in Mexico. And basically I've decided to tell the internet this so one, everyone can have a good laugh at my expense because I was stupid, and two, because the lady says that this happens all the time. So maybe somebody out there can see this and they can learn from this and it can help them, and everything I went through they won't have to go through. And you know, I like helping people. So okay, let's start at the beginning. So I was going to Mexico. We were driving a car to Belize. So obviously to get from the United States to Belize, you have to go through Mexico. Okay, so I was crossing in Reynosa. We were originally going to cross in Brownsville, but we ended up crossing in Reynosa. And then Ken was flying up and meeting me in Reynosa, and we were just going to drive down together. So I go over and I cross into Reynosa, right? Well, I cross into Mexico. So before this, I had only ever gone into Mexico one other time, and this is probably a different story for a different video. But basically, I walked over the border and was like, oh shit, I'm out of my league, and I walked back into the United States. That was like the only time I'd ever been to Mexico. And the only other international traveling that I've done is to Belize and to the United States. And like when you get to Belize, you get off the plane and they shuffle you, like it's kind of like the US. So like when you get to Belize, you get off the plane, they shuffle you through immigration, then they shuffle you through customs, and they shuffle you out the door. Same thing with the US. You get off the plane, you go through passport control, then you go through immigration, and then you go through customs, and then they let you free into the airport, whatever airport you're flying into. So that's kind of what I was used to for border crossings, right? Just like, this is where you go, this is what you do, and like, there's no way of getting around any of that. Like, there's no way of skipping customs, there's no way of skipping immigration. Like, even if you wanted to, you couldn't, because they just filtered you through. So that's basically the travel background I had when I was coming into this situation. So I go, so now we're back. So I go into Mexico, right? And we crossed over in Reynosa. You drive over the bridge. The US didn't even look at me. Like when I passed into Mexico and out of the States, like the United States side of anything, like I didn't see anybody. I don't know if I should have saw somebody. I don't know if I flew past them. I have no idea, but the United States didn't even look twice at me. So then I get into Mexico, right? And I have a car full of crap because we were taking stuff down to sell as well with the car. So the car was squatting, it was loaded. They stopped me just like that. And they pull me to the side, and I don't speak Spanish. So I speak no Spanish. This is probably another reason all of this happened, is because I don't speak Spanish. So they pull me to the side, and there was a lady there that actually spoke English. And she was like, we have to check your car because you have stuff in it. I was like, that's fine. Check away. So they checked my car, and the lady was like, okay, here you go. And she spoke English, and she told me, she's like, okay, here's this paper, you take it in and you pay the people in there. And I was like, okay, that's fine. So, but the lady that spoke English stayed outside, and she just sent me into the building. So I go up to the lady at the counter, right? I don't know, I can't read the signs, I can't do anything, but the lady was at the counter because I'm like standing there with my paper, and she like motioned me forward. So I was like, okay. So I gave her my paper, and I had to pay money to use their roads. I'm like, why am I paying money on the items I'm bringing in? Apparently you have to pay to, like, that's what she told me in English. She couldn't really speak English, and I can't speak Spanish. So, I mean, we weren't communicating good, but I was like, why pay? Like, why am I paying? And she's like, use our roads. I'm like, okay, paying to use your roads, that's fine. So I gave her my passport. I give her the paper that the lady outside had given me. She stamps my passport, and she hands me back the paper and my passport. Okay, so then I ask her, I'm like, you know, where to? Because I thought I had to have like a permit, is what I read. Like I read that you had to have I read that you had to have a permit and insurance. And so I was like, well, I have to go pay for a permit at least. But I asked her where to go next, and she's like, you're done, go. And like she like motioned towards the door. So I was like, okay, I guess I'm done. She did something to my passport, and I got my paper and my little receipt, and she says I'm good to go. Another side note, I did not have a permit in Mexico, and we got pulled over so many times, and I don't know how we got away with not having that permit. Like whenever they'd ask for the permit, because we actually ended up stopping and getting insurance through like just like a private person. That was another joke to find. That's a whole nother story too. And so whenever they'd ask for the permit, we would show them the insurance paper. And Ken speaks a little bit of Spanish, and he'd just say, this is what they gave us to give you. And somehow we never ever like got in trouble for not having that permit. But if you go into Mexico and you're taking a vehicle, you have to have a permit. It's $500 US. And then when you get, well, it's around $500. It depends on like what type of vehicle you have. But like ours would have been $500. I had the money to pay it. They just didn't tell me that I needed to. I didn't know. But then on the other side, right? So when you get into the Belize side, there's like a huge sign in English saying this is where you refund your permit. But like on the US Mexico side, nothing. Okay, I don't want to confuse you by bouncing back around. Okay. But I just, like, there's just so much to it. I want to make sure that like I'm telling the full story so you get it. So okay, we're driving, right? We drive, pick up Ken. We get stopped by the police a few times. They check my passport. They do ask about the permit, but we just show them the insurance paper. Somehow they let us go. Everything's fine. Everything's dandy. Nothing's going wrong. Well, most things weren't going wrong. Like we broke down in front of a mechanic one day. How do you have the luck of breaking down in front of a mechanic? I don't know, but we did. But yeah, we made it to like the Belize border. It was all fine, dandy. Thought we were doing good. So we get to Belize and we go to cross over into Belize, and this is where the trouble starts. So we are at the border and we go up to the guy and we give him our passports to get into Belize, get stamped out of Mexico and into Belize. He looks at us and says, so my husband had a temporary passport because he had lost his. And so he looks at him and said, this passport's not good. And he's like, what do you mean my passport's not good? Like, I asked, they said this passport's fine, it's valid. It's not good. You have to pay $500 US. You can't be here. It's illegal to be here. Pay $500 US. Then he looks at me and says, you've never been stamped in. You're illegal in the country. You have to pay $1,000 or we're going to take you into immigration. I'm like, what are you talking about? How did that happen? I was like, I gave my lady my passport, and you know what? I didn't even look at it. Like now, whenever I ever go in and or out of a country, I always stop and I look at my passport. I make sure I have the immigration stamp. I make sure the dates are correct. I check everything, but I didn't. Like I gave the lady, she stamped something in it. Apparently she stamped that I had paid for the goods in my car. That's what she had stamped into my passport. Why do you stamp that into a passport? I don't know. So yeah, that's what she had stamped into my passport, that I had brought the goods into the country. She didn't actually stamp me in. Apparently when you go into that building, there's the desk that I went to, and then apparently around a corner or something is immigration, and around another corner is where you get the permit. But I didn't know. I can't read the Spanish. Like I don't understand anything. I couldn't find anybody that spoke English, and the lady waved me out the door. So the guy was like, you have to come and pay us. He's like $1,500 US, or you both go to jail, basically is what he said. So freak out. I'm like, I can't go into I'm not going to Mexican jail. I will not last. Like I will be dead in like 5 minutes or less. I'm telling you, I know it. So panic, right? And like we go to run off, like, so like we're like, okay, we'll go get the money, which I'm not paying this guy that much money. I don't even have that much money. Even if I wanted to pay that guy that much money, I'm like, I don't have that. $1,500. Like Mexico was so expensive. It was so much more money than I thought. I did not realize I was going to be 5, 6, I don't even know, maybe $700 US into tolls. I didn't realize that. And so I'm like, I'm not paying you this money. Ken's like, okay, we'll be back. And so then the guy goes to take our passports, and Ken snags them, and like he like pulls like the guy, like so like the passports are on the counter, like Ken like snags them, the guy like puts his hand and Ken snags them, and like we run off. So now we're like, shit, what do we do from here? Like, how do I get out of Mexico, right, is the big thing. Because Ken's passport was fine. Like his passport was fine, and we knew his passport was fine. But I legitimately was not allowed to be in Mexico. Like I legitimately was actually illegal in Mexico. Oh God. So we go and I'm freaking out. I'm like panicking. I'm like, do we pay the guy? Not that I have money to pay the guy, but like, do we come up with the money? Do we pay the bribe? Do we get over the border? What do we do? So we were thinking like, you know, we could go back into the States. I'm sure I can get into the US, and they're not going to hold me at the northern border, like home. You know what I mean? But with that being said, Ken only had like 2 days left in Mexico before his time was up and he had to get out. So we couldn't go back up north. We would have ran out of time, and then Ken would have been illegal as well in the country. So we're like, do we just try to sneak me into Belize? Because it's pretty easy to get into Belize, like without passing through anybody. But then I would be illegal in Belize, and that wouldn't be solving any of our issues. I mean, if I had to choose a country, I would definitely choose to be in Belize. But even with that being said, I just wanted to fix the problem, right? So I'm like, okay, what do we do? So we're in Chetumal. This is where we tried to pass this through Chetumal and then into Belize. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to call the consulate, the U.S. consulate, and see if they can help me here. Like, even if they can go, like, even just like a translator, a something, a anything, like, see what they can do to help me, because I don't know what to do. I'm terrified. I'm like, I'm not going into like Mexican immigration custody. Like, I'm not. And I can't go talk to these people. I don't speak Spanish. Like, I can't like explain to them how it's an accident and I didn't know, and like, what can I do to fix it? Because I can't communicate with them. And the U.S. consulate tells me that it's not their problem, it's my problem, and I need to go sort it out with the Mexican authorities. And I told the lady on the phone, I'm like, are you shitting me? I'm like, I can't go sort it out with the Mexican authorities. I don't speak Spanish. I can't go talk to these people. Like, I literally cannot talk to them. It's not that I don't want to talk to them. It's that I literally cannot communicate with them. So I don't know. Okay, so then I'm like, a consulate just basically told me to go to hell. Maybe the U.S. Embassy, you know, American in distress. I thought, silly me, I thought that's what they were here for, to help us. But apparently they're not. I don't know, maybe they just wanted to wait till I got thrown in jail or something, and then I could call them and they might be able to do something. I have no idea. But I call the embassy and they tell me the same thing, that I have to go figure it out myself. I'm like, okay, though that's not going to happen. I still literally cannot do that. So the next phone call we made was to the Mexican consulate in Belize to see if maybe there was a way that they could help me get out of Mexico and into Belize. And they're like, well, we can't do anything because you're not Mexican and you're in Mexico. Like, they're like, we can't help you, which I get, okay. But they gave us the number to the Belizean consulate in Chetumal because Ken is a Belizean. And those people ended up being our saviors. Like, I'm telling you, they are the only reason why this didn't go poof, is the Belizean consulate. The man and his wife saved us. So we call him up and we tell him what happened. And he's like, okay, come to my office. So we drive over to his office, and he's like a dentist on the side, and then he's just like the consular as well. And he's like, you know, we explained everything what happened. I was like, I really didn't know. I'm so sorry. I don't know how to fix this. I can't talk to these people. Like, help us. And he's like, well, you know, I can definitely get Ken across, my husband, because he's a Belizean. He's like, but where you're an American, like, I don't really like, which, and I mean, I get this too, because I'm an American and he's with the Belizean people. He's like, I'll see what I can do for you. He's like, I will do my best to help you. But with that being said, I'm not your consulate. You know, I'm his consulate, but I'm not yours. Like, you would have to call yours. And I was like, well, I tried to call my consulate and they told me to figure it out. So he goes and he's like, okay, we're just going to go to the border. I'm sure we can get this settled. I'm sure we can get both of you guys back in. It'll be fine. So we go and he's like, follow us to the border. And so we follow him and we get out with him. And he's like, my wife's going to meet us here. And we're like, okay, cool. That's cool. And so we go in and like, there's like a special little place for like the people from the consulates to go into. And so we go and we're waiting in the waiting room, and the wife shows up and she's really nice and the guy's really nice. And we're waiting on the person who's actually in charge of the border. Like, we wanted to like the lady that we talked to, that he wanted to talk to, was like the big boss over the border. She controlled everything that was going on there. And so we were waiting to talk to her. And we're waiting, and I'm like, okay, this is scary, because like, depending on what this lady says, like, she could just say like, that easy, no, I'm not helping you, like, come with me. And I was like, we got to try to get this sorted out. Like, we got to try to figure something out. So I'm waiting with them, and the lady comes out, and the consular's like the consular, his wife is like best friends with the lady at the border, and so stands up and they go and they're like hugging each other and they like kiss each other's cheeks, and Ken and I just look at each other and we're like, we're gonna be okay. This is gonna work out just fine. Like, this is already starting out good. Like, they're best friends. Okay, so we go, and I can't hear anything that they're saying, like, or I can't understand anything that they're saying because they're just obviously speaking in Spanish, which I don't speak, but Ken speaks just a little bit of Spanish, like, so he can't really speak Spanish, but he can understand it pretty good. And so, like, I'm just kind of watching him. I'm like, yes, no, maybe so, like, what's going on? What are they talking about? And he's just like, so Ken just gives me a thumbs up and he's like, we're fine, it's fine. So I'm like, fine, oh my gosh, good. So we're talking to the lady and she's like, yeah, and like you can see, like, it's not like there's no tension in the air, like they're friends, it's fine. And so then the lady's talking to us, the wife was like, okay, so here's, you know, what she said. She's like, apparently this happens all the time, it's not that big of a deal. I'm like, this happens all the time, and we can't try to solve this, like we can't put a better sign, like that, like, don't get me wrong, that makes me feel better that I'm not the first idiot that's ever done this, but at the same time, if it happens all the time, I feel like we should maybe do something in the north where everybody's making this mistake to help prevent it from happening. And then my second thought to this happening all the time is, think of how many times that man that tried to get money out of us has gotten money out of people, because that's scary. Getting told you're illegal in a country and you're going to jail, that's terrifying. And if I was rich, if I had like $2,000 in pocket change, I would have paid that man $1,500 just like that, just to get me the hell out of there. But yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh, this happens all the time. Okay, so she's like, yeah, it's no big deal. It happens all the time because when you go into Mexico, this is exactly what I got told. So if you go into Mexico and you're just staying like right on the border and you're only staying maybe a day or two, you don't have to get stamped in. It's only when people go all the way through Mexico and try to go out the other side that you need that stamp. And that's why so many people make the mistake, is because a lot of people are used to crossing the border and then just going back and not having to worry about a stamp. So when they do decide to go all the way through, they don't realize that, well, you actually do need that stamp. So the lady told the guy, was like, stamp her passport, and he just looked at her and she's like, do it, basically is what she said. And so he went and he stamped my passport. We had to pay like a $500 peso fee, which was the fee that I should have paid at the northern border. And so it wasn't like anything additional or anything extra. He stamped me in, he stamped me out, he stamped Ken out, because Ken's passport was actually fine. Like, it really was just me that had the problem. And they just helped us right over the border. We went into Belize and we were fine. So it all ended up okay. But with that being said, it ended up okay for us because really the Belizean consulate is why it ended up okay, because the Americans basically was just gonna feed me to the dogs. And I was so mad. I'm like, the American consulate could have did the exact same thing for me that the Belizean consulate stepped up and did, because that man didn't have to help me. That man could have said, you're not my problem, let me get him over, you can stay. Like, he could have said that so easy, but he was nice and he helped us, and like, I'm so thankful for him still to this day, because I'm telling you, without him, it probably would have ended really, really bad. And so we went into Belize, everything was fine. I learned that when you're an American in distress in Mexico, guess you just go figure it out yourself. I don't know why we have a consulate there. I don't know why we have an embassy there. Maybe I just am misinformed about what they're supposed to do. I don't know. I just thought they were supposed to like watch out and protect Americans. Maybe not. Maybe that's not what a consulate's for. I don't know. It's what the Belizean consulate's for, and they did a fantastic job at it. But I don't know. Still, I'm telling you, like, it still irks me. Like, this is a couple years ago and it still irks me that they tell me just to go fend for myself. But yeah, we got into Belize, everything was good. And that's it. But it was pretty dang close. I could have easily went to jail, and so it was scary. And I just wanted to make this video, like I said in the beginning, because one, we can all laugh at me. Hi Megan, you're stupid and didn't get your passport stamped. Okay, but I'm not the only one that's ever done this. I'm not the first, and I'm sure I won't be the last. And hopefully, maybe, just maybe one person can see this and it can help them, and they can make sure they get their passport stamped so they don't get stuck. Because I'm telling you, if you're an American and you're not traveling with a Belizean and you do what I've did, I don't know, you're on your own, because they ain't gonna help you. Yeah, you got no one. Your consulate's just gonna tell you to go figure it out. And it's like, how do you figure it out when you don't even speak the language? Like, I would be like, I don't know. But that is my video for today. That is my stuck in Mexico story time. We were stuck. Like, I couldn't get out. And so thank you guys so much for watching. I know this was a pretty long video. This is probably pushing 20 minutes. I will try to edit any excess out and see if I can cut it down a little bit. But I wanted to make sure that everything made sense and I got everything in, and yeah, and so yeah, that is it for today. I love you guys so much. And if you haven't already, give this video a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.